get out there and talk about these preconceived notions that might be preventing people from trying or for scoffing at the carnivore diet when really a large amount of people are getting digestive relief.
It's the JJ and Eric Carnivore Show.
Well, a warm welcome to you all. I'm JJ. I'm a life coach and I eat mostly meat.
I'm Eric. I'm a novelist and I eat mostly meat too.
Now, when I first came across the carnivore diet, it sounded a little crazy to me.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't just dive in. I had to really binge Dr. Berry to build belief.
And you did.
Oh, yes, I did. I watched a lot of Dr. Berry because it just didn't seem things were plausible on the carnivore diet. It just seemed I was a little skeptical at first.
Well, it just goes against everything that we're taught for decades upon decades.
It does. So across my feed the other day was not Dr. Berry, but it was someone who was sort of making fun of carnivore, got onto my carnivore feed. And this person ended up saying, you do you. They weren't extremely disrespectful. But what I realized is that they had a lot of preconceived notions about the carnivore diet, which I think we often do when we're entering into this space.
They probably were the same preconceived notions that we had before we got into it.
Yeah. So today I wanted to sort of address those objections to the carnivore diet from the digestion space.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
It is a big deal because I think people get really worried about what's going to happen to their digestion on the carnivore diet. And so we're not doctors, we're not healthcare professionals, but we are going to share our experience, our digestion experience with you.
Yes, we are.
So should we dive in?
We should.
Well, let's start with probably one of the most pervasive ones is what the heck is going to happen when you aren't consuming all that fiber? I mean, aren't you going to get really bad constipation on the carnivore diet?
Well, based upon everything I learned about nutrition, the answer is yes. You will have severe constipation.
Nothing is going to move on the carnivore diet.
It can't because you're taking in zero fiber by definition.
Yeah. So what has been your experience around fiber?
Well, I haven't gone since I started.
And it's only been almost 2.5 years.
Yeah. It's really convenient. It saves a lot of time. That's not true.
That's not true, no.
No, it turns out that the fiber is not a requirement. And in fact, in my particular case, the fiber was an irritant to my GI tract.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So I have dealt with IBS for a long time. Mm-hmm. And one of the benefits I wanted from carnivore was to see if that would help relieve some of that, especially gut cramping and pain and bloating. Mm-hmm. And it did.
Now that was one of your quick victories.
It was pretty quick, yeah, but not as quickly as it resolved.
No, we're going to get to that in a minute. Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. So let's just stick to the fiber issue right now.
Okay.
Fiber and constipation.
Yep.
So for me, now you joked that you haven't gone in the last 2+ years, which is not true, I'm guessing.
Especially not true during the early phases of carnivore.
Okay. Well, we can get into that in a little bit too.
Yeah.
But I've never suffered from a lot of digestive distress. But I can say I go a lot less with the carnivore diet. Now, this is very context specific. People theorize that perhaps if you're eating the standard American diet or a plant-based diet, a more plant-based diet, that fiber might be necessary because there's more that's getting stuck in all those nooks and crannies, and fiber might be necessary to really clean you out.
I could see how you would think that.
Yeah. But on the carnivore diet, what happens is that most of our food is digested, period. And so for most people, they do experience less stool, but it's not a constipation issue. There is no difficulty in going. So for me, I go about twice a week, and as you sort of joked, it's kind of nice and convenient. But there is no problem with going. So that it's not classic constipation.
So why would that be? Well, we consume meat and then it's absorbed in the small intestine. And waste is eliminated through the large intestine.
Yeah.
And there just isn't much waste.
There just isn't.
Because that meat is just all nutrition.
Yeah.
Not cellulose, which is the fiber that's in all of the vegetables and just passes right through.
Which is non-digestible. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the whole point
By
of the
definition,
fiber.
yeah.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, it passes on through. It does not get digested.
So you would think then the frequency would go down, and it does.
It does. Yep.
Because there's just not as much waste. And I do want to make one note about constipation.
Okay.
Because it can happen on carnivore, but not because the meat is plugging you up. It could be an electrolyte issue.
Oh.
And so what many find is a little magnesium supplementation goes a long way. A lot of magnesium supplementation goes really quickly and isn't necessarily a great experience.
Some people think, well, carnivores tend to eat a lot of fat. So then if there's no fiber happening and you're eating fat, maybe you have loose stools.
Right.
Yeah.
And you could, if you really overdid fat.
Yeah.
Or if you're in the early phases of transitioning to carnivore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which happened to me.
So you were in that adaptation period. What was your experience?
Long walks with the dog at the most inopportune time, my body would go, give me a message. And I would say, body, we are exactly 25 minutes from the house. So I don't want to hear this.
I'm not having this.
Turns out I was 19 minutes from the house.
Hightail.
Yeah, that's right. But it was I don't know, at least a month, right?
I think so, yeah.
For me to make that adaptation. Some people say a couple of weeks. It's just individual. Some people don't have any problems at all.
Yeah, I did not have that adaptation period. So now I was eating a veggie meal about once a week.
Yeah.
So that might have prevented it. I don't know. I was having some salads here and there. But I did not have that. And I do not have issues on the carnivore diet. Unless, like you said, if you dial up the fat too much, your body will let you know. And then that just means dial it down a little bit.
Now, there could be an issue if your gallbladder's not working 100%.
Oh, yeah.
You need bile to emulsify the fats, make them very, very small little globules so that they can be absorbed into the intestine. And if you're not producing enough bile, then all of that fat goes downstream and it just keeps going. And that can be a pretty nasty problem.
Yeah.
But supplementing with some ox bile in that particular case would then help alleviate that problem.
Yeah. And I would search out some of the good doctors' videos on that. So Dr. Barry would be one who would have some information on that. Because apparently you can adapt even if without a gallbladder.
Without a gallbladder, people can still eat fatty foods once there's an adaptation because the bile is actually made in the liver.
Yeah.
So it's perfectly capable to do it. But it's just one of those little nuances that you discover.
So we would love to hear from you in the comments too. If you've experienced the adaptation period, if you've experienced better digestion, or even if you've experienced worse digestion on the carnivore diet. We've sort of danced around this a little bit, but some people think that all that protein, especially on a carnivore diet, that meat and that protein is just going to generally cause gassiness, bloating, indigestion. I mean, doesn't that meat just rot in your intestines? Doesn't it just putrefy?
No. I honestly don't know where that idea comes from because to me it doesn't make logical sense, but I know that it's asserted
Right. And that's what
in certain circles,
Yeah.
not carnivore circles, obviously.
no.
Because there'd be an idea that you wouldn't have, maybe it's because you don't have the fiber, that somehow gut motility would slow down, and therefore the meat would just sit there festering and stewing. But that doesn't make any logical sense. The intestines are designed to absorb nutrients, and that's what they do, and they do it, pretty quickly.
Very efficiently.
Yeah.
With this. Now, I've heard in Steak and Butter Gang, Dr. Phil.
Yes.
I've heard him speak of this, and he says that it's actually the opposite. It is the veggies, the fiber that actually ferment within the intestines. So that is where we get the bloating and the gassiness, is actually from the plants and probably the cellulose.
And you get all these aldehydes that are
Yes.
spun off that get absorbed that are inflammatory. And there's a mistake in thinking that humans, because we're closely related to apes who have big protruding bellies full of intestines that are designed, in fact, to break down very fibrous vegetables.
Yes.
There's this idea that, we're just like them, and so we're meant to be eating huge loads of vegetables and fruits as well. And our gut is not at all like that.
No, it's not.
Much truncated, which suggests and supports the idea that we're actually evolved to subsist on meat rather than all of those starchy, fibrous vegetables.
I also recently saw that our stomach acid, it runs more acidic than the plant eaters. We actually are as humans, our plant acid runs between the carnivore and the scavenger level, which again sort of does support that idea that the proper human diet involves being able to really break down these meats and the pieces
That's
of cartilage. And
you wonder if maybe there was a time our ancestors might have eaten some kind of off food, and their low pH stomachs kind of sanitized it. And killed some of the worst bugs.
That was the theory that this person put out. Yeah, that was the theory, was because we would we would hunt the megafauna.
Yeah.
It might be sitting around for a while.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's an interesting theory.
Yeah, that's all it is. But in my experience, I have a lot. I mean, I was never hugely gassy because I am a lady. And we don't have gas, don't you know? But yeah, there's a lot less gas in the carnivore diet. And when there is a little bit of gas, there isn't any scent really. So it's one of those weird carnivore things that doesn't sound real, but it's true.
Yeah, I suppose that as we switch from the sad Western diet called the SWD, usually we say sad American diet, but we're a global channel.
Yeah.
So we want to be inclusive. Everybody can come into the circle. But when we're coming from that, which is, lots of refined carbohydrates, our entire gut flora, all of the bacteria in there is designed, well, not designed. It's just
attenuated.
It
been
has
adapted.
grown a certain flora to suit the foods we've eaten.
Yeah.
And then that has to die off and change out.
Yes.
And presumably it does.
Yeah. So there might be that adaptation period for some people where you experience that. That's not a reason to jump off the wagon, though. I know some people are like, oh my gosh, this isn't working. No. Just stay with it.
It's where the gas comes from. Is from the microbiome in there doing its digestive work.
Now, you and I have also talked about the fact that we have flatter stomachs than ever before, as far as that bloat goes.
Yeah. Obviously there's a loss of fat.
Right. But I'm not talking about that, because sometimes we do have the salad.
And then that causes a little bit of interesting. Yeah, kind of inflammation.
Yeah.
And that's true. That once you get past the adaptation, you really get a sense of how empty and flat the belly is meant to be when you're eating a proper human diet.
Yeah, it is remarkable how different it feels, especially for you who used to spend a lot of time trying to massage your stomach. And
a lot of digestive issues. And to be fair, we both had terrible diets when we were kids.
Yeah.
But mine was terribler.
yours was terrible.
And I did more damage, most likely.
Now, you almost blew this one earlier in the video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you do this one because some people think that a meat-based diet will cause this particular issue. Lay it on us.
Yeah, acid reflux. And the fact is that within days of starting carnivore, acid reflux subsided to basically zero. And that's huge because I hadn't had zero in memory.
Really? Yeah.
And most of the times it was at night. I would wake up with, heartburn or something, have to eat a Tums in the middle of the night, try to sleep a little bit elevated to alleviate that. But, that only is a partial solution. And all of the different healthy diets that I had tried in the past, especially ones that were very high in vegetables and greens, made no improvement in that whatsoever. What made the biggest improvement was not eating any of that and only eating meat and eggs and bacon, and huge instant reduction.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
Again, there might be an adaptation period, not probably with the reflux, though. I don't know.
I guess it depends on what's causing the reflux.
Yeah, I suppose.
Because it can be multifactorial. But I think a lot of people find relief pretty quickly on that front.
Hey, if you're liking our content, like, subscribe, help get this video out to people who might have these preconceived notions about carnivore digestion. So in our experience, digestion has been easier and better and more comfortable on the carnivore diet. So we're not saying that's true for everyone. We don't know. But what we want to do is get out there and talk about these, again, preconceived notions that might be preventing people from trying or for scoffing at the carnivore diet, when really a large amount of people are getting digestive relief.
Thank you so much for watching. Every day stronger.
Every day more blessed.
JJ and Eric, their lipids are high. Their doctors are worried they're both gonna die. Is LDL harmless? They sure hope it's so. It's the JJ and Eric Carnivore Show. Salad is toxic, seed oils are doom. They rub on tallow like greasy perfume. Ribeyes and bacon, that's all they know. It's the JJ and Eric Carnivore Show. No wheat, no kale, they're laughing at greens. 18-hour fasts are their favorite routines. Sugars for suckers, they're chomping on fat. Streaming to you live from the tallow fat. Eric's got muscles, JJ's got zen. They're coming to chat with their carnivore friends. So toss out the lettuce, embrace the beef glow.